Studio with the fellas to parse some of what we saw, and it felt like two completely different football games. The first three quarters where Chicago largely dominated but didn't finish a number of drives, and then there was the fourth quarter where you give up a short field on a punt return, you offer an opportunity, J.J. McCARTHY takes it. Mac, I want to know where you're at right now. Let's start on the Bears side of things, because it continues to be these heart-pounding type finishes that they survive once again.
I mean, this matchup reminded me a lot of the first matchup with Minnesota and Chicago, where J.J. McCARTHY was a bit stagnant for three quarters, then something happened in the fourth quarter where he was able to come up and show up for them to win that ball game, and he was almost straddling the fence of the same timeline. But to your point, Chicago had the necessary plays that were needed to be made to be able to win this ball game. And this was a game for Chicago. When you look at the flow of the game, the way you dominated for three quarters, you could not afford to lose this ball game. When you look at what's going on in your division, the NFC North, you cannot play around with your food, because I believe three teams could easily get into the playoffs. And if you're the Chicago Bears, currently being at 6-3, you want to find a way to get into the playoffs. That's a playoff caliber season, and winning and beating a team where the quarterback J.J. McCARTHY, it felt like he was throwing the football with his eyes closed. He wasn't seeing the football field extremely well. They were very, very opportunistic in forcing turnovers against J.J. McCARTHY. And to your point, man, they just made the necessary plays Chicago needed to make to win this ball game.
Don't cheat, my Bears win. 7-3 now and climbing.
Before today.
Prior to this matchup.
Yeah, before.
You know, we're getting back into the fold, me and you, Matt. But I want to go in further on something that you said there, Mac. J.J. McCARTHY, it seems like a split personality right now. There was J.J. and then there was 9, as you said, that came up late in this one. Where are you at? Because a lot of those issues early on were self-inflicted. A couple interceptions thrown to this Bears defense. They did pressure him, throw some exotic looks at him, but it looks like two different football players right now.
Yeah, it's very simple. JJ has to be better. He has to be better, especially in the first half, missing way too many throws, costly turnovers in the red zone, and just putting his team in bad situations. We know what this Brian Flores defense is going to provide for them, creating short fields, taking the ball away, and putting that offense in good field position. And JJ McCARTHY, if this team want to be successful, especially in these last 6-7 games, he has to start the game off better and get in a better rhythm to get him going.
Yeah, because we see what he is when he is in rhythm. Some of those timing throws to the outside late in this game that got the lead back for Minnesota, it does not hold as a long kick return and then a couple handoffs. I think it does still go down as a fifth game-winning drive for Caleb Williams.
It does.
A fifth come from behind drive in the fourth quarter. What do you make of the Chicago offense? Because it feels like they're on the edge of breaking through, for lack of a better term. From a yardage standpoint, they're short of their season average, but they are finding themselves around the top of the NFL right now. What's going to take them to that next level?
Probably not playing Brian Flores defenses, right? So we do have to be fair to the Chicago Bears, where this became, can you make a field goal there in the final probably 3 quarters of this game for them. You know, Brian Flores knows Ben Johnson quite well, knows this Chicago Bears team, and knows the kind of pressure points. So it's okay that their numbers weren't great today. You want to see them on the ground be a lot better. And look, they got, I think, the Pittsburgh Steelers coming up next. And then, look, this is a tough slate. It's the Steelers, and then it's at the Eagles, it's at the Packers. Then they have the Cleveland Browns defense. Again, so while we can sit here and say, oh, the Bears against Brian Flores' defense, it's not getting much easier. And so while they are figuring out ways to win, and Joe, you and I have talked about it for many weeks, credit the Chicago Bears for figuring out ways to win. Also, don't make it so difficult on yourself to where it's the final minute of the game and you're over here sweating it.
Yeah, there were throws of the third quarter where this team could have run away with this game, Mac. Do you have a limiting factor right now?
Talking about the Bears offensively, I think there is a disconnect with the wide receivers not named Rome Odunze. There's the issue for me. When you look at the talent, they have talent there. I still love DJ Moore. He's a very versatile player. You look at Luther Burden, who's really surfaced here or there. You got 3 outstanding wide receivers, in my opinion, when you factor in Rome Odunze. But something is off in terms of the volume. Rome Odunze had 2 receptions. Luther had 3. DJ Moore had 1. Once upon a time, DJ Moore was the featured guy in this offense.
Should have had 3. Couple hit him in the bread basket.
And that proves my point about the disconnect, the lack of rhythm. But they had enough to win. But that stretch that you're talking about, eventually those wide receivers going to have to surface. They're going to have to surface and make some plays to help the young quarterback out.
Mouths to feed, certainly. You got Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland in that offense, and always a run-first approach from Ben Johnson. It's a couple points better than their divisional foe as they right a wrong. It felt like deja vu, but for a moment, the Bears sneak by with another late win. Most wins when trailing in the final 2 minutes in a single season since 2000. Now the most in any season, matching the 16 Lions and the 11 Broncos. in to assess with the fellas as the Packers get a much-needed ugly one, if you will. It felt like at moments the Giants might be able to pull this one off, Mac, but Green Bay, in the context of that NFC North, this was a must-win moment.
You better believe it. It felt like the same storyline for the Green Bay Packers. Offense a bit stagnant, playing around with your food against a lesser talented team and finding a way to lose this ball game. But they found a way to win. And hats off to Jordan Love. He was battle tested. He left the game for a few plays, came back in, made things happen. But we're still not seeing the Jordan Love type numbers we thought we would see in this offense. But he had enough today, 174 yards through the air, 2 big-time throwing touchdowns, and they were perfect in the red zone, 4 for 4 in the red zone. That was the deciding factor in them winning this ball game, along with making the timely, necessary plays on the defensive side to be able to come out on top.
Yeah, when this team is successful, it's all predicated off the run game. In the last 2 weeks, the running game has not been there. As we saw Josh Jacobs end up leaving this game early on today. And Jordan Love, he's like one of those rhythm quarterbacks, play action, get him out on the run. And when that running game is not available, it seemed like it's a little bit too much on his plate. The offensive line is not able to protect for him as cleanly if he's just dropping back and passing the football. So this Green Bay team, their defense is going to continue to play outstanding, continue to get those stops. But they have to find a way to get this running game going in November, December if they want to be the team they want to be.
You know, we got to call it how we see it once again. Lots of drops and injuries throughout, as we said, for this Green Bay team. Jordan Love, 13 to 24, 174, 24 attempts. I know you can't let the media dictate a game script, JJ, but are you seeing the proper usage of the quarterback's talents by the play caller?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, and I think that Pat hit on it really well. When you lose a Josh Jacobs, is this a team led by Jordan Love where he can just sling it all around the yard and get 350 passing yards without having Josh Jacobs? I'm not entirely sure that is going to be the case. This is also a Packers team that sort of plays down to their opponents, or I should say they will play up in bigger games and they will play down to their opponents in lesser games. We saw them lose to the Carolina Panthers just a couple of weeks ago. Every time that you're like, oh, the Packers should blow this team out, then they don't do it because the Giants have an interim head coach. They're on a quarterback who was the third string a few weeks ago. They don't have their number 1 or number 2 wide receiver. They don't have their mascot in Cam Scatterbo back there. And so the fact that the Giants, they didn't get a lucky 20 points, by the way.
Yeah.
They continued to convert on fourth downs. They had 9, 11, 15 play touchdown drives on this Packers defense. That is, to me, somewhat concerning if you are a Green Bay fan and you're saying, okay, yeah, we escaped with this win. Definitely needed the win, but the Giants got 20 points very honestly today.
And what you said about Green Bay about them playing down to the level of their competition, you know what that tells all of us? They're not there yet.
Yeah.
They're not the team that we thought they would be. I'm not saying they're not a good team, but when we came into this season, we all visualized the Green Bay Packers as a potential championship-like contender. Championship contenders don't play down to their opponent.
Yeah.
They take care of their business by any means necessary. They were able to do so today, but to your point, JJ, over the last few ball games, the Carolina Panthers, Cleveland Browns, they played down to their opponent and they lost.
I also think we were seeing and will continue to see the effects of no Tucker Kraft in this offense. He has been the most potent part of that passing attack, even though you had a young receiver in Golden and you got other guys like Dobbs and Watson. Most consecutive games with 20-plus points in a loss. The Giants, 2-9 start in consecutive seasons for the first time in franchise history. Back in studio with the guys where the vibes are always high, but vibes felt weird coming into this one for an LA team that's got the whole world in front of them. A 3-loss team coming into a matchup with Jacksonville who were down, but we were talking about it throughout the game. Body clocks maybe a little bit off going west to east. Now 1-2 LA in these 1 p.m. kicks on the East Coast. Is that something or nothing to you?
It could be something, right? Obviously, they lost to the Giants in the Meadowlands earlier this season. But this game, I don't know that this was about body clock. I don't know that this was about time zone. So much as the Jacksonville Jaguars reminding everyone, this is still a really good defense. And we talked about how great of a defense this could be back toward the end of September, right? When they were putting things together with Anthony Campanelli, the defensive coordinator. Then they started taking a couple losses, but they lost to the Seahawks and they lost to the Rams, right? And so when you factor in this, they shouldn't have lost last week to the Texans. I think we all know that. They got right here, and they have 2 of those losses because they shouldn't have lost to Jake Browning and the Cincinnati Bengals in week 2. Otherwise, we could be talking about a very top-heavy AFC South. But this has been a very good defense that has tripped itself up a couple of times, and they reminded the entire NFL today who they are.
They needed this ball game because of what happened last week against Davis Mills in the Houston Texans, in the fashion in which they lost in the fourth quarter solely. So being able to go back home to Duval, get an opportunity to play against a playoff caliber team, this was a confidence builder, not just for the offense, but to your point, JJ, the defense. They came alive and they made life miserable for Justin Herbert from start to finish. So when you look at the makeup of the AFC, clearly the Colts, they have the hold on the AFC South. But in terms of the other seeds in the top 7, the top 6 other spots, if you're Jacksonville, you need to make sure you win this ball game, because right now in November football, this is when the playoff race gets extremely sticky.
Yeah, November football right now, this is where the season starts to take a turn.
Yeah.
And right now, the Jacksonville Jaguars did a great job of controlling the line of scrimmage. And if Trevor Lawrence can play like this throughout the rest of the season, this can be a dangerous team to watch out for, because as JJ talked about, the defense played outstanding. As B-Mac talked about, the front line got out the Justin Herbert, really never comfortable the entire game. So for the most part, we know what the Jacksonville defense can provide for that team. We know what the running game can provide for that team. Now it's just going to come down to Trevor Lawrence.
I see where you're taking us here. What can Trevor Lawrence be for that team?
Exactly.
After the stuffing and the turkey, Thanksgiving is coming fast, and the cream tends to rise after. But it is the 5th easiest remaining strength of schedule for those Jacksonville Jaguars.